What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Randy here with RTS Mobile Gaming. I'm bringing you an absolutely dynamite video today. We are playing the Lord of the Rings Rise to War. And in today's video, we are talking about Black Serpent domination under the nation, folks. Black Serpent is beautiful in PvP and is here to stay. This video will prove that to you. We're talking about his build, his units, his gear, and show some reports, okay? So first of all, like and sub, love you a long time. Here we go. Black Serpent is one of my main two PvPers this season, hands down. Absolutely amazing. I love this guy. And I'll tell you why. One, he can put out pretty substantial damage for the first few rounds of the fight, okay? With his Horn of Harad ability and the fact that Evil Men units are just phenomenal all-around beautiful units. So is able to pump out quite a bit of DPS in the early fight with his Halberdier Chariot Dragoon combination here in Season 6. Therefore, he's able to get an early advantage against his opponents. In addition to that, he's extremely tanky. He provides enormous defensive capabilities for his units, right? We've got Haven for 14% reduced damage. We've got High Alert for 50% reduced elemental damage. Then we've got Evil Alliance for another 14% overall reduced damage. Okay, and we have Harajim with 15% overall reduced damage received. So that means that all damage is reduced by a total of 29% just from his R3 tree. Then you add an additional 14% physical and an additional 50 as in 50% for the elemental damage. So this really puts his damage mitigation at one of the highest in the game, hands down. So he mitigates enormous amounts of damage, is able to pump out a large amount of damage for the first few rounds with Horn of Harad, therefore is very appealing to use in PvP. He's almost like a Swiss Army knife. You can use him in many situations, and there's a high chance that he's going to come out a little bit on top, okay? So, the build I like to run with him is I like to use the Gigantic Hammer. This is not refined, so really a purple melee cutlass with a 9% refinement is going to be a little bit stronger. However, I'm just hoping and praying I get enough hammers to refine this. Therefore, my army can penetrate enemy defense. Okay? So this is a good weapon. It'll also help boost my chariot's damage with the large unit attack. Okay? Next, I like to run burn damage. Do I need to run burn damage on him? Not necessarily, but this ensures that when I do encounter a Gandalf the Grey with Alchemists, a Witch King with Alchemists, this ensures I literally take 0 damage from them and I just walk right through them, which you'll see a report of in a little bit, okay? Next, I like to run the Horseman's Helmet with Anti-Madness. Obviously, a gold helmet with Aegis will be best in slot, but lacking Aegis, I would definitely pick Madness immunity over Stun immunity, so keep that in mind, okay? And then lastly, the Worn Out Smoking Pipe is going to be beautiful, because this is going to provide phenomenal healing, somewhere between 20 to 30k healing over the course of the fight. So this is going to be very valuable for that. It'll help keep your sustain up in addition to your enormous tankiness. Really nice. All right. Troop combination, I like to run with about 45 to 5,000 halberdiers. Obviously, my Black Serpent is only level 42, so he will be running with closer to 5,500 halberdiers at max level. I like to run anywhere between 400 to 750 dragoons, depending on who I'm fighting. If I'm hitting a lot of Gil-galads or hitting a lot of ranged damage builds from a seal door or something like that, I'll pump more dragoons into this build. Dragoons with their anti-ranged damage received ability, very powerful in combination with the damage mitigation that they already receive from Black Serpent, okay? And lastly, War Chariots here in Season 6, we get them. They deal decent damage, they're also quite tanky, and they provide damage instances that can, trip things like avoidance and things like that, okay? So, let's take a look at the actual reports I've got prepared for you today. I've got a number of them. Okay, I've got some messages from a few fans. Don't mind that. Shout out to Taco. I did send him a couple reports that I wanted to preview on this video. So let's start with Witch King. I just talked about killing Witch King. Let's start with Witch King. Okay. So This is a Witch King Alchemist build, okay? Is he missing about 600 Alchemists? Yes, okay, I don't have perfect reports every time. So just picture this guy with an additional 600 Alchemists at his disposal. Same level, similar gear, right? I'm running mostly purple gear except for the weapon. He's got purple gear. He's got enough to have his key abilities maxed out. He's got the standard alchemist type build. I don't know why we've got raiders in here, but they are just going to be another unit. And then, as you can clearly see, I did not take a whole lot of damage from the alchemists. I had 25k in healing, and I was able to absolutely dominate the damage scale for this fight. Okay, you can see that the war chariots did decent job. Okay, this is with 12 command worth of war chariots here. Okay, so that would be the equivalent of 1200 halberdiers. They have surpassed the halberdiers in their damage per unit ratio for this particular fight, which is really phenomenal, and they've just done well. The Witch King, his alchemists again did not do that much damage. His wargs almost bypassed his alchemists in damage because they're getting some anti-cavalry damage bonuses, and his alchemists are getting double negated by high alert and a burned chest. Let's take a quick look at round 1. And then we'll jump to some other reports. It's exciting. So here in round 1, guys, you can see all this damage mitigation just stacking up. It's so crazy. This guy does so much damage mitigation. So the raiders coming in, hitting my dragoons, getting some damage out. The alchemists literally hitting for no damage. Okay, they are at the maximum 90% damage mitigation. Okay, they're being mitigated by 90%. So you can just picture this would have been a 56,000 damage hit with no mitigation, right? All right. Here is some sustain from that pipe. Really, really nice. Okay, and then the war chariots coming in hot and heavy with their scythe ability. So these do deal decent damage in round 1 with their bursts. It's not too bad. And then they apply a bleed afterwards, which also ticks, right? Halberdiers are stunned. No damage output from them. All right, let's see round 2. I just want to see what the bleed ticks for. Okay. War chariots coming in, hitting the mountain trolls. No one has taken any bleed damage yet because the mountain trolls are taunting. But the halberdiers are putting decent damage out. You can see that. Into round 3, I'm down to 30% damage bonus. Okay. Another healing pipe, sustain tick. Such a powerful item for Black Serpent. Now we're finally getting some bleed ticks here. Because of the taunt trolls for the first couple rounds, I did not get any bleed ticks off. But you can just imagine if I'm hitting this target with 3 units for 3 rounds in a row with bleeds on them, and you're hitting for 414 bleed ticks, right? You're looking at 1,200 extra damage per round. That bleed can really end up being, 12,000, 15,000 damage over the course of 10 rounds from the war chariots. Just absolutely slaughtering them. So, I mean, that's the Witch King build. Let's see a Gandalf the Grey with an alchemist build who has got 6 levels on me and has equal gear. This is a Gandalf the Grey alchemist 6 level advantage that has enormous amount of avoidance, which I do not counter, and healing in their own right. Okay, so check this out. This Gandalf is going to be running Cutlass, right? We've got Cutlass. We have anti-burn damage here. We have Bone Mask for Madness, and then we've got Worn Out Smoking Pipe. So, how did this play out? Well, let's take a look. I was able to more than double the damage output of this 6 level advantage Gandalf the Grey equal gear alchemist build with my Black Serpent because of the mitigation, okay? Is this a stomping win where I come out and he's dead and I'm full health? No, it's not, but Gandalf is hard to do that too, right? So I think that this was a good performance overall. I had a much lower number of war chariots. In fact, this is only a half march, if you can imagine. I had 4,900. I believe I was down a few commands. I'll have to do the math, but I was definitely down a few commands when I fought this guy, so you can imagine that this is a pretty solid performance overall considering, okay? And the enemy really did little to no damage. Let's take a look at round 1. I'm not going to go all too deep into this one. Then we'll jump to the next. The next one's interesting. You'll like the next one, okay? Here we go. All this mitigation coming in hot and heavy. Here we go into round 1. Okay, Alchemist hitting for literally nothing. My heal is basically more than the Alchemist damage, which is phenomenal. Okay. Dragoons are stunned. War Chariots triggering Scythe. They're really not going to get a lot of damage out with Scythe. There's only 22 War Chariots, and there's a White Council here, which is going to dramatically reduce the damage that Scythe deals for the first few rounds. And let's jump into round 2 and take a look at some of the bleed ticks and the damage output here, okay? Get excited. Just no damage coming. He just can't put out, he cannot put out enough damage. Story of the fight, guys. Okay, Dragoons coming in. War Chariots coming in. Here comes the Halberdiers hitting the Swans, getting some nice damage out with their anti-cavalry abilities. And keep in mind, by the way, the Swans are taking, right, they have their abilities here where they are actually at plus 90 defense. So they are at 171 defense for these first few rounds, right, which is really, really crazy. So they're taking almost no damage. So I think that the overall performance here went very well, and I would love to continue killing Gandalfs on Black Serpent. I have another report here where I actually do kill the Gandalf, almost. This is a similar gear Gandalf the Grey, similar build overall, right? Running Alchemists, and since he is equal level with me, I do have a full command here for Black Serpent. My performance is definitely better. I get out significantly more damage overall, and I'm able to really still meet that same level of mitigation with healing output, all right? I'm not going to go into the fight there. You just saw Gandalf report. You'll like this. Check this out. This is a Airborne 2 King of Men, right? One level difference here, essentially the same. He's got fantastic gear, right? We've got very similar gear levels here. He's a high respect level. He's running a high damage build. Personally, I don't like putting points into the R5 build in grabbing Return of the King until you have some more of the damage abilities here on the R3 tree maxed out. Just my personal preference there. I've seen a lot of people running the build either way. But overall, you can see that Black Serpent holds his own in this fight. Again, right? 22 to 25k, 25 to 30k in that damage healing range. Really consistent there with healing pipe and 3 units. The damage output is phenomenal. Okay, I'm able to put out 179,000 damage and really come in hot and heavy and out damage this Airborne 2 King of Men build. Since I have so much physical damage mitigation, right? I have like 43% physical damage mitigation. He is not able to get up on me with his big ol' nukes. Say that 5 times fast. So, like I said, you're not always going to come in with a stomping W with the Black Serpent, but you are going to be able to come in and counter a lot of commanders just due to your extreme tankiness and the fact that you can have healing output there. So he's a good multi-tool in that sense. Can you defeat Black Serpent? Absolutely. I have been defeated a few times, okay? And a lot of times it is with commander damage because commanders are able to perform and put out a little bit higher damage output than units typically, right, with their big old nukes that they have. So since elemental units are some of the only units that do out damage commanders, and I am anti-elemental, really commander damage is Black Serpent's weakness. So against some strong commanders, you'll see bigger losses here. But overall, he almost always can force a draw, and I would say 7 times out of 10, he's on the winning side of the draw. Okay, so Thank you for watching, folks. This has been the Black Serpent PvP highlight for Season 6, Lord of the Rings Rise to War. If you have enjoyed this video, give me that like and sub. I love you guys long time. Randy out.